So that's kind of been my story. And now serving in such positions of influence, being depended on by the business, and I still ended up leaving to found Founders Freedom. And even now, while the short while that we've been operating, we've had clients that we've consulted with exact same issues of how do you prepare yourself, especially on this matter of staff. We help founders get to a place of finding freedom while you're running your business. And one of the best ways to replicate yourself as a founder is through hiring high capacity staff. And then they leave. It feels like all that work has been undone. So I'm hoping our webinar today will equip us, get us started in this conversation, equip us some ways of how do you foolproof yourself against the risks of losing your key people. So Joyce, if you could move on to the next slide. So this is what we are hoping to cover on our webinar today. We've listed out a couple of things that we hope you will be able to walk away with. First is to just be agreed. When we say a key staff, what exactly does that mean? Having a common understanding of who we define as a key staff member is helpful for our discussions today. And then we want to understand, how do you end up in that space in the first place? We do know there are benefits and, of course, the downside of having such key team members. For the most part, as founders, we want to look at the pros. This is a good thing, but there are downside as well that we are hoping to unveil, and hopefully then the more aware we are of the cons, then we are more equipped to address them. One of the interesting parts of our webinar today is just debunking some of the myths that we as founders just come to believe about stuff. And I'm looking forward to that section, and also getting to hear your thoughts around that. So we will need to agree at some point that these key staff members do leave companies. We've either experienced that, or we are apprehensive about it happening to us, or we've known people that have left. And so we want to look at some common reasons. And that then should bring us to a place of understanding how, therefore, do we prepare? If that's an eventuality, how do we prepare ourselves for that eventuality? So this is our definition of a key staff member. An important employee or an executive who is critical to the functioning of a business. And when you're working on your business, depending on the size of your business as you're growing, you get to a place where you have your right-hand person, a person that knows all the secrets about your business. They have as much power as the founder. They take your calls. You can send them to meetings. I mean, they literally are your right-hand person. They, in some cases, are involved in making some major decisions on your behalf. And equally, they get to be highly compensated. So this would, in most instances, be the person that is best well remunerated in the company, because they've just grown in levels of responsibility. They've grown close to you. They know the business in and out. They play a critical role, whether it be in heading operations or heading production or whatever role they've been given. But they are an important, very, very important employee, influential in the decision making, and enjoying good compensation package, special benefits. They have a company car. They, enjoy some perks as a result of the role they play. So that's our definition. That's kind of important in then laying the grounds for how do we end up there? How do we end up with this key staff? One of the reasons that we've looked at is just where the business is at. As you start your business and things are going well, then you're expanding, you automatically need to replicate yourself. You can't be everywhere at the same time. Yes, you still wear all those hats of a founder, of the marketing manager, the sales, you're delivering, you're collecting, you're everywhere. But as you play all those roles, then you see the value of bringing in staff to help you. So that more often than not starts to introduce the aspect of a key man, a key right-hand person in your business. Now, since you can be everywhere, you can send them to meetings, you can have them deputize you, you can have them take your calls, they can make some decisions, and that is quite satisfying, that everything does not rest on you. If they have the company keys, they can open the business before you get there. When you start to enjoy some freedom, depending on the level of business, even as it grows, since they are so key for your business, they can run the business hard fought for you while you're either away, traveling, attending to other matters. So this is one of the reasons why we end up with the key staff. The level of the business growth, especially in the early stage areas, you find that there's one person that's kind of a replica of yourself. You've delegated substantial decision-making roles to them. The other aspect, that even as your business has grown, you have a few people around you, is a competence and chemistry that you connect with this person. You can have a pool of employees, a pool of workers that you're working with, but there's just this one person that's really, really good at what they do. I mean, you might have hired them as an accountant, but they also get it when it comes to sales. They can run a meeting and make great presentations. And you think, Allah, I thought accountants are just good with numbers. But this one guy, this one lady is just extremely competent in quite a few areas. It could well be that this is somebody that you connect with. There's just this chemistry. They get you, they can anticipate, finish your sentences. And when you're racking your brain on what to do, they kind of seem to have the words to help you unlock your mental space and see things differently. And you begin to build trust with this person and get to a place where they are trusted, they are confident, they are close to you. When you're making decisions, you first want to run it by them. What do you think? How would this work? So that combination of having somebody who's really, really competent in more than one areas, and you just have a great chemistry with them, can begin to elevate them to a place where they become a key staff. The other aspect, this one we're really guilty of as founders, operating especially in the SME space. We abhor everything structure. That is a preserve of the big corporates. They have all these layers, and then they're so cumbersome. Decisions take forever to be made. So I want to run a fluid operation. That is not, bureaucracy, layered, rigid. Everybody talks to everybody, and we all sit together and we all eat together. So now you've grown your team, you're 20, 50, maybe 100 people, but you can't quite tell who is in charge of what. Everybody is just there together. And that's all well and good. But as we know, as a parent, I want to be friends with my children, but that the fact should never be lost that I am a parent, and there's a place for me playing the role of a parent and the children being children, as much as I want to be friends with them. You're still the founder of your business, and it's all well and good to spend time and hang out with your employees and all of that, but that should never lose, you never should lose the sight of the fact that as a founder, as a leader, you still have your place. So this lack of structure, we're really guilty of that in the SME space. Everything is just fluid. Everybody just, talks to everybody, walks into everywhere. So we'll look into why that lack of structure is critical and needs to be addressed. I think the final piece here is lack of trust. So as I've said, you've got a big team. You've got actually a defined structure. This is a head of marketing, and that's a head of finance, this is a head of HR. But you still have your right-hand person. That these other people are just figureheads. They're occupying positions, they have their roles, but you don't trust them. You only run the show checking with this one person. So that essentially, that lack of trust then disempowers these people you've hired and put them in positions with clear job descriptions. There's a clear structure showing who reports to who. But your finance guy is just the main guy, is more equal among the equals. And they can tell this one holds more sway with the founder, with the leader. So that's some of the reasons how we end up with the key staff. So I'd want to invite your comments here. If you could just type in the chat, in the Q&A section, actually. What would you think are some of the advantages and disadvantages as well? Just feel free to throw in whatever comes to mind. What would you say are some of the advantages and disadvantages? I see somebody. Mercy Karith is wondering if the audio is off. Is Mercy still part of the group? And is she able to hear us now? I hope the audio is fixed for you, Mercy. See that in the Q&A. If you can hear us, just type in the Q&A. And for the rest of us, please feel free to chime in. What do you say are some of the advantages and disadvantages? We would really want to hear your thoughts around this key staff question. So as you get to type there, we do have a few advantages that we wanted to share with you, but really would love to hear what you have to say as well. So one of the advantages, of course, like we've alluded to earlier, is the fact that as a founder, you can be everywhere at the same time. And so hiring staff, and really good staff for that matter, allows you to replicate yourself. This is as good as it gets when it comes to finding some freedom as a founder, finding some breathing space as a founder. So rather than make this whole deal a one-man show, even for a small operation, you're running your legal practice, your dental practice, consulting business, whatever business you're in, when you find somebody that you can really entrust with your business, then they can go to the office, receive clients, talk to clients while you're off to a meeting. In that way, effectively replicated yourself and bought yourself some freedom, but things can still run with or without you. On the other aspect is it's actually a cost-saving measure. You get a really, really good person, multi-skilled, then you've hired an accountant, a really good finance person, but they're also processing payroll, which is an HR function, and they are handling that whole HR deal, and they are talking to clients, they're billing, they're following up, they're going for meetings, they're handling your banking, they're playing all these different roles. And in this same time, you're thinking to yourself, well, this is actually a really smart move. I am saving the business quite a bit of money by only working with this one guy, this one lady who is so skilled in so many different ways. So I don't have to hire all these different people, right? So I would love to see what else, what other advantages you think there are with having a key person, right-hand person that you are working with closely. But those are just some of the advantages that we wanted to throw there. The flip side of this, on the disadvantages side of things, I see a hands up here. Ada has a question. Ada, did you want to unmute and share one additional advantage of a key person, or you had a comment to make at that point? Can they unmute themselves, Joyce, or do you have to unmute them?
I've given permission to speak.
Oh, okay. Heather, you had your hand raised. Do you want to speak at this point, or are you going to type out your comment in the Q&A section? Alrighty. Well, as Eda is, I'll give her permission to speak when she's able to either unmute or just type a comment at the Q&A section. So I've looked at the advantages. On the disadvantages side of things, can you hear me?
Karibu sana tukuajiri.
Eda?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
If you can hear me, you're unmuted. All right. We're going to move on here. Maybe she pressed that button inadvertently, so we'll welcome you to put in your comments in the Q&A section, and then we'll address those as we go along. So I'll just run us through the advantages, the pros of this key person, and now we'll look at the disadvantages of that. Joyce, I think the screen has disappeared. Oh, thank you. Right, thank you so much. So one obvious disadvantage, of course, is the fact that there's an over-reliance on one member. And you'll probably get to hear this called out when, say, you're applying for a loan in a bank, you're looking for investment financing, and you get called out. In risk analysis, there is a key man risk. Usually this, of course, is attributed to the founder, that so much is riding on you as one person. And if, God forbid, you're walking down the street and you get hit by a bus, what happens? There's so much riding on you as a founder. Similarly, if you're attempting to replicate yourself, now your business has grown. You've got a few employees, you've got a few big clients you're servicing, but you only have this one guy that you're relying on. What happens if they walk away from your business, if they fall sick, if all these things happen? This over-reliance on one person, and even amongst the team members themselves, thinking, wow, what's the point of having all these different departmental heads if the founder only wants to hear from Martin? It's Martin this, Martin that, Martin this. Hey, what about us? Don't we have anything important to say? So that over-reliance can bring its fair share of risks and breed content among the team, concern among your clients. So that's one disadvantage of having all this power concentrated in one person. The other aspect, of course, is in some instances, some of the key persons, key staff members, they take on this responsibility really well. There's a saying that if you want your work done, give it to the busy person. Well, what ends up happening is, yes, you'll give it to the busy person, and because they are that good, they will get the work done. But at what expense? You end up overworking them. They're taking calls long after work hours. They're in the office early. They are traveling. They are everywhere. At one point, I think I was traveling so extensively in my previous capacity. I was doing more than 35 flights in a year. And I would barely be home before I changed my suitcase and I'm off to the next. And I'm talking to the travel agent and I'm in this country about, oh, do we have ticket for Zambia? I'm going to Zambia next week. Is that all sorted out? And where am I staying in Zambia? And then it's Nigeria and the connections between Nigeria and Ghana. While I'm there, I might stop by Cote d'Ivoire. And it was just crazy. And then there's donor visits in the US and some clients we need to see in Europe. Absolute madness. That was just really, really heavy workload of non-stop travel. And that sometimes, you do the work well, and so you get more and more put on your plate, which is all well and good, but that can only last for so long. You may not be able to keep that up for a long period. Finally, on the disadvantages is the institutional memory, because this person is involved in so many different areas, and they are your go-to person. They're involved in both the financial side, the HR side, the sales, all these different aspects, your key contacts with your clients. You can send them to meetings. They have your banking details. They're handling all your banking. So they really hold a lot of information with them. They've been with you probably for quite a while. So again, they are carrying a lot of institutional memory, how the company started. And you know how that is when somebody like that leaves. We are guilty of not having a lot of this information written down. Say that what the founder knows, and in this case, if a lot of this work is being done by one key person, then their departure, they're leaving your business, they carry with them a lot of institutional memory. All right, that can set you back quite a bit. Imagine having to reconstitute your client contacts, your processes within the organization. Like, okay, so what are the passwords to these computers? James left and he didn't leave the passwords with anybody. Who knows the mechanic that we used to call to come and fix our cars? John left, and now we don't have any idea how to fix this and the other. So there's some really crucial institutional memory that concentrated power on one key staff can then end up leaving you at a real disadvantage. So here comes the fun part. Some common myths that as founders we are prone to. And this is one area that it's important for us to understand these myths. I mean, myths are just commonly held beliefs. They're not necessarily true, but just because they're either commonly practiced or repeatedly spoken, it doesn't necessarily make them the truth. And this is important for us to understand. What are these myths? How do you debunk them? How do you then equip yourself to know that is a myth, that is not the truth? There's something I need to do about that. All right. So here's one of those myths. Key people in your business, this one guy, this one lady you've worked with since the company started, this employee for the past 20, 30 years in the business, they're so loyal to you, they will never leave. I remember the conversations I used to have with the founder of the organization I used to work with, and say, well, you're very important to the business. Don't ever leave. And if you must leave, you have to talk to me. And that was really sweet to hear. It was very flattering. And I felt really valued as an employee. And I knew I held a key role in the organization. But I still ended up leaving to found my company, to found this business that really, really thrilled about. The time came for me to step aside. So how do you get to a place of, yes, while people are with you, they're playing these key roles, they are loyal to you. But the truth is, they will leave at some point. All right. How do you get to a place of telling yourself, not confusing that loyalty with never leaving? You're the founder. the business is yours. So yes, you probably will not be leaving your business, but these people are loyal because, there's a scratch my back. They're getting a good package. Things work well for them at that point in time. But if circumstances change, if a business collapse, or if it's got a better offer, chances are they will leave. So don't ever confuse that loyalty with the fact that people would never leave. So here's a second myth for you. We really get to a place of believing this myth that these employees care about the business as much as I do. And therefore, they will put in the same amount of work and sacrifice as I have put in as a founder. Now that's a myth. Employees do care, and they will work their socks off. They will work as hard as possible. But you remember those days that you just don't want to get out of bed? Those days that the last thing you want to do is talk to people, go for another meeting, go see another client who most likely reject your pitch, go see the investors. Well, the employee has a choice of saying, listen, I've done my best and this is not working. They can hold up their hands and move. You don't have that luxury. So you will always find a way as a founder. You care about your dream. This is your dream. This is your vision. This is your business. You will do absolutely everything. You stay up all night. You will ride through the bus. Your car breaks down. You're behind on rent and all these dues. You will find a way. You will beg, you will borrow, you will do everything to keep the lights on, keep the business moving. Please do not expect that your employees, your key persons, will still have the same amount of dedication, concern as your other, as yourself as a founder. So that's important. It's really, really important to note. And finally is the other myth that we have is, so the key people might leave, but even if Jen leaves, I can always have Salome slide in and take care of that. If James leaves, I can always have Matthew slot in to their place and take up that role without missing a heartbeat, and the business will continue. Well, yeah, that's good to tell ourselves. But you imagine if your head of production just walks and they've been keeping all these trade secrets, all these things by themselves. Would you expect the guy from South to just slide into that position and run things? Or even the guy that was deputizing them? We have these people and they play such a crucial role because of the things we said previously. They've been acting in this position of concentrated power in a way that it's not shared with other people. So it's not easy for somebody else to just slide in and take over what they are doing. So again, happy to hear what you think. Please type in the Q&A. Let's hear what other myths that you'd have on that. So with that background, then why would some of this key staff leave? As we've spoken earlier on the risk of over-reliance and overworking one team member, one of the reasons that some of these key staff would leave is because they get overworked. They're seeing you as the founder, you've grown the business, but they've just been going and going and going and going. They are calling, they're receiving all these calls from angry customers. When you divert them from your phone, they go into their phone, so they're the one taking all this heat. And then because the employees, the other employees can't quite get to you, they see this was one person as the one that you really trust, the key person, they come to them to vent. So they carry a lot on top of the work they have to do. That could lead out to burnout. They are playing multiple roles. And so it's this person going on leave, then they take on that role. This other one is going, this one, couldn't come today. Their nanny had some issues. This one's fallen sick. This one has matanga. They are carrying all those because they can play those roles. Then it's easy for them to just assume those responsibilities. They've been there longer. They are better compensated. They have a company car or whatever it is. So some of this stuff will just end up leaving because they get burnt out. They get to carry so much from so many different angles. They get burnt out and they say, well, this is not even my business. Why am I being meant to work so hard? Burnout. And people will just leave. But the other aspect of this, we were talking with one of our clients and they said, I'm doing my very best. I've got about 150 staff and I go out of my way. I pay my staff really well. I give them all these perks. I even provide lunch for them. But guess what? The moment one of the big guys comes out with an advertisement, there's an opening, they would leave even for less money than what I'm offering. And they ask me, well, why is that? Well, I guess the bigger guys look to be a safer bet. There are opportunities for them to grow. And so these employees are not willing to take a chance with your business that is still growing. But the moment, and please note, this is not a question of just throwing more money at them. Yes, you can actually be able to pay more than what some of the established businesses are offering, but they're thinking, well, what happens when that cash dries out? And the way I'm seeing things going, you may not survive, for so long. There's just so much risk attached to your business. So I'm probably better off jumping ship and going to work with some of the big guys. So again, this is not a fellow founder. This is a key staff who is looking out for their interests. And the moment they are greener pastures, or even your competition, it doesn't have to be a whole established business. It's your competition that comes down and says, look, you've been at this space, you've grown these people, you've trained them, they know the market. Come, I'll pay you and I'll give you a good package because you're bringing all these clients' contacts, you're bringing all these trade secrets, strategies from your former employer. So I'm going to give you a good package and steal all your big, good employees. So you find your key staff leaving. There's one client that we contacted with, number 3. There's a client that we were consulting with, and they had gone through, I think, a 3-year cycle dealing with staffing issues. And how this started is they trusted their operations manager so much that they had all the key contacts. And this was a go-to person. All the calls are diverted to this operations person. They have the keys to open the business. They're the ones, all the employees, they pretty much hired them. So their loyalty is to this manager and not necessarily to the founder. All the clients' complaints, they knew all the clients. They would do the visits. They would handle all the cases. They would give discount to this one. This guy was feeling that he's living such a good life. His business is running so smoothly. He doesn't have to worry. So then the client, the employee left, and they left with all those contacts. They left with all the employees. They ganged up against him. And she said, look, I'm going to start a similar business. So all of you guys come. We have all the clients. We have everything. We know how this is done. Let's go. And our friend was left to deal with that. So sabotage is a big deal. The other aspect is the question of when you're promoting incompetence in your business. You might have started with this person, grown with them, gotten them to this place, but now you're really not, they don't occupy this key person position because they are competent, but because of loyalty, misplaced loyalty, I should say. That you feel he has to be or she has to be the best compensated, the most senior, because they've been with the business for so long, because they know this one area. And the more you promote these people to a level of incompetence, the good people, they see that and they start leaving. So this last point is not so much for the key person leaving, but you start losing other high capacity people that are coming through, key talent that is coming through in the organization because of promoting incompetence. So what do you do then? How do you prepare yourself? Wanting to build their own business. Look at that. Getting that. And that's where Joyce and I fall. We just felt it was time to build our own business. No malice, no sabotage. But we just felt, look, we ran the course, been at this for a while. It's time to move on and do something different. And here we are. But there's a few things that we're able to put in place before leaving that we'd like to share with you that can then benefit you, safeguard you from getting to a place where having a key person leave would disadvantage you, right? So this is how to get prepared so you do not get blindsided by your key people leaving. Now, please remember, you're the founder of your business. You're the owner of your business. You got the dream of what success looks like. You have the picture in your mind so clear. You do also realize for you to achieve your ultimate goal, whatever success looks like, it's going to take more than just yourself. All right. Now, when you have such clarity in your mind, having a key person is all well and good. But the beauty of having this vision, this dream, this idea for your business well documented is that it then allows you the luxury of planning a few moves ahead. It's a really good book that I would strongly recommend for you to read. It's called The Next 5 Moves. And as a leader, you need to be able to plot a few moves ahead. Think more moves ahead, plot things to see where the business is headed. Now, the way to do this, as you're plotting these different moves, then you're going to see, okay, so I'm going to open another shop in Mlolongo. I'm going to need 1, 2, 3 people there. And you can already start planning. How do you then staff that department, that new shop, this new product line that you're bringing on board? It helps to have people that have been in the business for a while, so they can run with this new line. But they're only running with it as a train, as a groom, as a mentor, other people, so that it's not just all dependent on one person. So the strategy aspect is really, really key. Make sure you have your picture on your head, very, very clear. Document it, have it written down. So then you're able to communicate with the key stakeholders. I would want to see where do I fall in place in the grand scheme of things. Yes, I just joined the organization, but part of the questions I would have as an incoming employee is, what does success look like for this company? What is the org chart looking like? How do I move from this step to that level? To what is my contribution worth in achieving the big picture? This communicating with your staff is really, really helpful. So the whole thing is just not in your head. One of the things that breeds the fear we talked about why this key people leave to go to your competition is because they cannot see where we headed. It's like when you're driving in your car with your kids and they always ask, are we there yet? So that conversation of where is there and how do you know when you've arrived and what is your role in arriving there and how valued and needed are you in this journey? So communicating your plan, of course, needs to be documented, becomes really, really key. So then your people can see, this is where we are headed. This is my role in it. This is different ways I can grow within the organization. So that's really helpful. What else do we have in the strategy? Weekly meetings. Yes, these are, again, twofold. One, communicating the strategy, but also acting as a sounding boards, acting as feedback, how are things moving. You need to be able to hear, not just from one voice, spread it out. Better yet, if you can have just opportunities to touch point with the entire team, or at least the senior management if the team is too big. So that's strategy, really, really important. Please move your big picture from your head, have it documented, have it communicated to key people, have different frequent opportunities to touch base. And because you have the org chart well articulated, then you're able to see, so if this person didn't show up today, who would take up that place? If this person moved on, who would take up that place? Having that succession planning inbuilt for every role in the business becomes then really helpful, and it becomes a major shock absorber for your business. So you're not left scrambling when things go off track. The next aspect that you need to look at is structure. Structure follows strategy. Structure follows strategy. You first need to have a plan before you decide what structure is important. You first decide you're going to Mombasa before you decide what vehicle, what means do I use to get there. So that's where your structure comes in. Now, structure essentially is a metrics that you put in place for decision making. And as employers, as founders, this is the trap we fall into in the absence of having fairly established structures. For most part, people want to start businesses because they want to do things their way. I have this great idea of running this fashion business, tailoring industry, whatever it is, and I know exactly how you want to do it. And the picture is really clear in your head. And so you make the grave mistake of not wanting any accountability, any structure above you. Now, what that does is the more you don't allow accountability, chances are you will not be requiring accountability from your employees. And so having this structure in place becomes really, really helpful in catching the blind spots. Structure for me is one of the most critical aspects as a founder that allows you to surround yourself with people that are able to provide different perspectives and thereby save you from, or at least help you in catching some of the blind spots. However good you are, you cannot be good in every single way. So remember, you're playing three roles for most of us as businesses are growing. You're the owner of the business. That's a whole level in itself. You're playing a director role, an executive director. You actually are executing things in your business. But director is at the board level, right? And then you're also in management. When you have those three roles rolled into one person, you tremendously increase your chances of blind spots, of not being able to get the full picture. You're either acting on too much information, which can be confusing, or too little that it's not complete. So having the right structure becomes really, really crucial in making sure you're able to catch on those blind spots. You're able to question your succession planning. You're able to look at how to spread out the different roles and responsibilities, so they're not just sitting on one person. And you just get to make really, really rich, thought through decisions that are factoring in all the different angles to it. What else do we have there? Yep, I've talked about risk management, especially the undiscovered risk. And when you're running a one-man show, It's important to be mindful of the different risks, different skills. You bring that on the table. You've got an HR person, legal person, finance person, and yourself. Then you spread the roles. What else do we have? Systems. The way I look at systems, the best way to describe systems in my mind, at least, is my class 4 science. Machines, they make work easier. Systems make your life a lot easier because you're moving from just documenting your core processes. That head of production guy, that head of sales, that really skilled, really good person in your business, it really doesn't have to all rest in your mind, in their heads. Make sure you get all the core processes, all the key steps, all the key areas of your business documented. You can always go back and revise and improve and all of that, but do not allow yourself to be a captive of until Michael comes, we really don't quite know how to start that machine. Well, yes, Michael was there when the machine was being installed, and he's the guy who was trained. Did he have somebody else, first of all, besides Michael, who was trained on operating the machine? And is that process of operating the machine documented? Or we are all going to be slaves of Michael? Finance, nobody knows the password to the computer that is holding finance records. It's just this one guy. If he doesn't show up, we are stuck. We can't bill customers. We don't know this guy who has come to pay. The business is literally crippled. Document your core processes. This is one sure way of making sure you're not a slave to just one person. What's next? Process owners, very, very important. Like I said, it's not just one person. It needs to first be assigned. You know who the process owners are, but it's not just left to one person to own that process. It can be taken up by somebody else. What's next? Automation. See, there's a system I really used to like for authorizing payments, and that allows different people to play different roles. But when it's automated, then it allows for different levels. There are things in your business that can easily be automated, and they then remove the human element to it, because anybody can run the automated process to get results, to get things moving. You not only ensure consistency, but also efficiency in your business when you automate your processes. Is there anything else under systems? Great. And finally is staff. So the conversation today was really around staff, and what we hope to have helped you created awareness around our topic today is how you save yourself the pain of losing your key staff, and then being grounded. So place the right people in the right seats, have clear job descriptions that talk about what these people are supposed to do. This goes all the way at the point of hiring. Get the right people. Get the right people doing the right jobs. What somebody is hired for, make sure that's what they are playing. Don't get finance people playing HR role. Nothing against finance people. Don't get your machine people. They're also the ones doing customer care, customer experience. They will show up and they will fix the machines, but customer experience, a whole other skill set. So have the right people in the right seats and doing the right job. And this will also help you in knowing what you're looking for when you're replacing. So job descriptions go into defining roles. It gives you also an opportunity of evaluating their performance. So you're able to see if this is a job you were hired to do. We matched your skills with the job that you needed to do, and you're not able to perform. There is a problem there. But most importantly, clarify those expectations with the new hire. What is their job description? It's amazing, really, how many employees we have as SMEs, and there's no clearly written contract. There is no clear job description. Wewe kuja kazi bwana, kesho ni kuendesha gari ya sales, you go and take the merchandise to Embu and sell and come. If the following day kazi ni kufagia, kazi ni, you just show up and do what work is available. That may be all well and good, but you need to have clearly documented contracts and job descriptions for your employees. There was a really interesting statement, I don't know how many of you caught that, by the head of public service, Mr. Kosgei, telling PSS and cabinet secretaries and all these government officials, go on leave. His angle was a little different, but I think he had a point. People have come to cling onto these roles in such a way that they don't step away. They don't leave. And unless you're able to allow even your best staff time away from the business, you never really get to see the gaps. When you have somebody else acting in that capacity, it allows you to see how things could be done differently, or see the capacity gaps you have between the main person and this person stepping in to act while they're on leave. Please enforce leave policy in your businesses. This would be so helpful for you in seeing how the business run if Martin went on leave. We're so dependent on Martin. How would the business run if he went on leave? And that also allows them time to recharge and refresh and come back and avoid burnout. So if they're that key to your business, let them go on break. You get to learn your gaps, and they come back recharged, and then they're able to help you. Is there a last one, or that the last piece, Joyce? Having an eye for new talent outside your business, because like we said, people will always leave. So if you're managing your succession planning correctly, you've been able to spot this talent from within the organization, and people are able to step in. That will actually save you a whole lot of headache if you're able to promote from within. But you're not restricted into that. You can always tap into new talent outside your business. You're going for these forums, you're visiting your competition, you're going to other forums, and you're able to spot talent outside the organization. They're able to say, I want to bring you in. I've been watching you, I've observed you're able to do this, you work with this company, this and the other. So having that eye for new talent outside of the business becomes then helpful to just tap into that person, bring them into your business, and you're not panicky writing to Brighter Monday and all this HR companies, I need a finance person tomorrow. When you rush the process that way, when you're not being deliberate to keep an eye for new talent, you're going to rush the process, you're going to bungle that exercise, you won't necessarily get the best because you're under pressure to fill the position now. You don't want to put yourself under that position. So I'm going to stop there and invite your questions, comments, and thoughts into a Q&A section. So feel free to unmute and ask questions or type them in the Q&A. Let's know what you think. Mercy was having trouble with audio. Right, hopefully that got resolved. Anyone else leaving a comment?